Hola community, it's Pablo Vazquez live from Amsterdam for another BlenderToday live stream number 115. It's a Q&A. It's not so much about the feature, it's about what's going on with Blender, answering your questions. And Blender itself this week, it was more about bug fixing. And for that, we're gonna get our guest to talk about it. The Blender, what is that? What's your role? Hey, say hi, Dalai.
I'm Blender Development Coordinator.
Development Coordinator, so you know everything that's going on. So what's going on?
What's going on? As I said, this week we did the second bug sprint for this release for 2.90, the upcoming release, and it was a week after the beta started. So it's when we encourage more users to come and report issues, and then we had a time in the agenda to double check old regression files and to test, what's the state of things, if, make sure that what are reported, which is, critical enough, is addressed in time.
Yes.
With no surprises for this release.
No surprises, and for no surprises are nice sometimes, but in this case, no surprises, like the Radiohead's song. So, to not have surprises, builder.blender.org is gonna get the beta version. You can also get the alpha, but the beta is more fun because it's more stable, and you can help making 2.90 super stable release. Speaking of stable, there was another release that happened this week, which is 2.83.4. It's a fixed release, 19 bug fixes on top of the already like 20 from the previous round, and then 40 from the previous round, and it's just much more stable. So if you're using 2.83, update now.
I think it finally got a fix that I did.
Yes.
I mean, try to talk it into merge into 2.83 since there's 0.1, 3. It's about the text scaling. So it's really nice. It's really, at some point, of course, the number of commits will go down for the LTS, the number of fixes that are ported. But there's still a few things planned to be investigated to see if they're stable enough. We wait to see the fix landing in master for some time, and if it's proved to be the final correct solution, and is a critical enough issue, then it can be ported.
Yes, at least there should be a few more releases, but then after at some point, I guess this is supposed to last for 2 years. 1 year is a pilot, right? 2 years is the if everything goes fine kind of thing.
Yes, and we're soon going to be able to present let's call the business side of this project, how to make it sustainable in the long run. I think we already have hints here and there that people are receiving this quite well. We are waiting for 2.90 to be out.
Yes.
To see how many people are going to be then downloading 2.90, and then once we have a new 2.83, that's when you start to get interesting metrics.
That would be the exciting, right? Once 2.9 is there, how many people are going to be using the 2.83?
There's a new update in 2.83, right? Of course. So.
Yes. What about the people in the chat? Are you using 2.83? Are you using the latest one, or the builder, or the 2.90? And when 2.9 comes out, are you gonna switch, or are you gonna stick with the 2.83 for stability and basically having the safe bet? All right, 2.82. Why is people in 2.82? Please, it's 100 megabytes. You're using more bandwidth by watching this video than downloading a brand new Blender.
2.83, 2.79, I've seen 2.831.
Yes.
So if we're using 2.83.1, I would say there's no reason not to upgrade to 2.83.4. But honestly, I've been in that position. We're running a production. Even if people say it's safe, and it's super safe, why to upgrade? So
why updating?
So what I used to do, and what people can do, if you go to the Blender LTS page, you can see what's being ported to 2.83, and this is what might make you decide to upgrade from 2.831 to 2.832 or 3 or 4.
Yeah. This last release has a lot of fixes oriented to the but covering the video sequence editor. And
so the project depends on that. That's good enough reason to risk upgrading your toolset once again.
Exactly. Awesome. Okay, great news. Great news. Any other news? Any other announcements that you have?
We have like a new Blender USD work group, which just started this week.
Yes.
There's a mailing list for people contributing to it. We have a new tag on the Blender developer website, and we have basically NVIDIA is like on board into like let's say committed to help Blender to get a really good USD support. We also have some engineers from Tangent interest, so we're gonna see how we can coordinate everyone's work.
Wow, all the big guys and girls.
And the other thing is more only guys so far, I think. But the other news is the build bot that gives Blender fresh builds every night to everyone. Greg changed it so that it exactly builds every single commit. However, it doesn't, for the end user, you still get to download it only once a day.
Ah, nice. So, okay, for the user, nothing's gonna change, but for developers, they're gonna test every commit.
Yeah, so it's easier to see which commit broke a unit test and
that's
how
awesome.
long it's been looking for. So it's gonna help this infrastructure side of the project, which is super important to invest as well.
Yeah, people don't often see that side of things, right? It's usually like, why is the builder broken when it hasn't worked in a few days? But yeah, it was down for maintenance. Now it's back. All right, so let's start with the questions. If you don't have any other topics to show.
Shall we update at the same time?
Yes, let's
3,
do
2, 1,
go.
Okay.
Cheers. It's zero alcohol, by the way, for people that are at home. It's just apple juice. It's the most fresh thing I had, by the way. No, not even water from the tap. I should store water in the fridge. Off topic, yeah, something everybody is very interested in. 33 comments. Let's get through them. Booba, first question of the day. Let's switch gears.
Okay.
Can we get? I start and then you go the second one, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Can we get more support? Booba asks, can we get more support for the texture node editor? Most of the time, it doesn't work at all. Answer, because it's end of life. It's gonna be replaced by the shader nodes. Work is gonna be put into more in the shader node side of things, and the Everything Nodes project is gonna make that easier. Am I right?
Yeah, you're spot on. Spot on. It should still work consistently for the things that it does work. But you're right that in that sense, it's end of life and quite limited.
Awesome. Also, NURBS need more support. There is like 2 buttons and the documentation is dry. that is as much development that the NURBS have had in the last many years. I don't see many people using. I don't see many requests either.
That's true. I don't think at this studio I see people using curves all the time. Andy today was doing this flower, and the body of the flower is using curves, and it was super.
Curves are awesome, but NURBS?
But are NURBS just one of the kind of curves we have in Blender?
Yeah, but they have like, they're different. And then people, but then you should make Rhino in Blender. And no, the NURBS, there is really no maintainer for that. There's not a lot of people asking for even development in that area. I think other sides of Blender need attention as well. The next is not a feature request, but can we get full VR support? So not a feature request, but can we get? That is a feature request. So not a feature request, but a feature request. Can we get full VR support with multiplayer, like have 5 people working on a Blender scene with VR together, creating different models and sculpting all in one file at once? Related to this, actually, Ubisoft shared recently the Blender Mixer add-on, which is an add-on for real-time collaboration. There is another add-on that is similar, is the multi-user, Blender multi-user, I think, multiplayer multi-user. That is similar. This one is developed by Ubisoft, and it basically does that without the VR part of it yet, I guess. but the
Blender has better VR support than
yeah.
Nothing stopping them from supporting that, especially because Ubisoft is the super invested and interest on VR in Blender.
Yeah. So actually, this Blender 3.0 alpha multiplayer VR mockup might not be that far off. Remember, 3.0 alpha is next year, this time of the year, it will be 3.0 beta.
Oh my, yeah.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah, it will, just that, yeah, it feels a bit scary. We're still gonna put the time to think about what are the projects that the developers are want to work on and what's the industry interested in helping with and collaborate. I think USD, it seems to be a hot topic, but VR still is, and animation, yada yada. Nerves, maybe.
Nerves. Imagine. The big thing though is that, well, besides if there's no other pandemic and everybody can have a normal life until next year, there will be work done in the VR. We have the work that Ubisoft is doing, the work that from the Summer of Code, which I don't know if we're gonna make it, but there are other Summer of Code projects that are bringing to light other developers that could join later.
Yeah, the last week was the final evaluation of the students, and 9 projects made the cut and are continuing to the final evaluation part of the program. That means more features, more developers potentially involved in the project.
Absolutely, and more sponsors, because the moment we have Blender has more sponsors, then it means that more people can be hired to do the work. So it's pretty nice to see this list growing. Actually, today Francesco was working in some foundation reports and stuff, and you can see the biggest amount it goes to people, it goes to hiring. And you can see the difference from the previous year to last year, from 2018 to 19, the amount of people that joined the Blender payroll. It's awesome. It really shows the growth of the project. But yeah, also the expenses grow. Next question. Oh, actually here Tuga is sharing the link to this add-on, which is free, by the way, free and open source by Ubisoft. Isn't that great?
It's awesome, and it's free as any other add-ons, GPL. And are we actually using here in the studio? I think we're planning to use it, at least we look at it, for the VSC, the video sequence
editor. Yes.
And in times of quarantine, such a thing is perfect. You have the VSC with the editor open, and you can have conversations while the whole work is synchronized.
Yeah. I wonder if that's gonna be easier than actual 3D though, because it's just video editing though. However, what if you add a file that is a video that is not in the source? It's gonna show empty.
Yeah. Well, good point. But also for 3D files, I think that if you check there are projects related to USD that really try to fill in this gap. Which I don't know how much of this is already stable enough and production ready, but you've seen some initiatives on that.
Yeah, and the guys at the studio are using it, so as soon as there's something tangible, we can share it. Facundo de la Rosa, and that is your time to shine the light.
Hey, Pablo, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
So my question is regarding what workflow do you suggest for this type of work? I have a blend file with a character with cloth and hair simulation. Okay. And if I link that into another blend file to animate, is there an easy and convenient way to disable all the simulations so they don't slow things down? And then render and then back. What's the correct workflow for these? Do I need to have the blend file, blah, blah, blah. But that's the main thing, right? You have the simulation in one file, you want to animate elsewhere in a way that's fast, and yet you should be able to go back and be able to render everything together.
Yes, well, simulations by pretty much by definition, if it's not a game engine or the crazy simulations that Pablo Navarro is doing with brushes now, simulations by definition get cached. They are cached. They should be stored somewhere on disk because you don't want to calculate them every time. So in this case, actually the answer by Pipeliner, nice nickname for this, it's a pipeline thing that you can bake, and you should bake your simulations always. when you link them, you could maybe somehow disable those simulations. But once they're simulated, they're there.
I would still consider, if you really want to hide because maybe high poly things been simulated, or you can still organize your collection in a way that you have sub collections for, let's call the high poly part of your asset and the low poly part of your asset.
Yeah.
And you can have for each component, doesn't even need to be per collection, right? You can have for each object, you can set whether it's going to be visible when you're instancing or not.
It would make it easier though if it's per collection.
I don't remember. Well, and again, you can just hide the collection after your instance with override. I'll do that as well.
Yeah. So collections and hiding and caching, always cache. And you can even do that in the previous versions even of Blender. The next question, Nar Avetis. Hello Pablo, I hope you're well. I am. Mandalay, are you well?
Super well, thank you.
Blender Roadmap has stated that with the release of Blender 3 next year, it will break compatibility with previous versions. Can you elaborate what can we expect to be discontinued and what sort of new features and changes will be introduced in Blender 3?
Well, I think there's something a bit of that's a broad and a bit too polemic statement. We're not saying, I think there's no place where it says that Blender 3 will break compatibility, but if you ever have to break compatibility, those major releases are a good moment to do so. But one of the basic designs in Blender, one of the fundamentals is, if you're bringing a new option, let everything else work as it was before. Don't force a new option into the old users. So that's one of the things. And the other is, don't do a change just for the sake of it. That's a bit obvious, of course. So you still can talk about 3.0 as a big thing, what can be discontinued. As you said, maybe texture nodes might get replaced. Proxies are probably gone for good, animation proxies.
Because there is a better solution.
Yeah.
It's not like removing just for removing, but there is a better solution. The thing is, it's good to warn just in case, but also if there are big changes regarding the file, like blend files, that it will be will differ from 2.9. It's good to say that, okay, now we can do it. It's not that it will happen per se yet, it's not sure, but it could happen, and it's good to warn people. The same with Python API. It's hard to say right now what would change, but it will probably be a good moment to say, okay, we can break things. Developers need to know this, also need to know that, okay, at this point I can make a change that will, okay, break compatibility, that's fine, but make things better.
One thing we're doing, and we're doing now for 2.90, we have a patch for that even, is that we're trying to set the Blender called minimum guaranteed version. So what does it mean? That the idea is that once you save a file with 2.90, if you open back with 2.0, 2.83, 2.82, it should show a warning and says, hey, be aware that you might lose data once you open this file in that version of Blender. We did this very few times in Blender because it's, why? Because we try to keep the data consistent, but because of 2.8 LTS, coexisting with 2.90 for too long, I think it's a good time to make sure if people are jumping from one Blender to another, for them to make sure they're not saving then in the old Blender and then corrupting some data. So, in other words, we try not to break, but if you do, I think we also have ways to prevent people from losing much of their work.
Good answer. Thank you very much. It's exciting to be already talking about Blender 3. Where ask, hola.
Hola.
No, that is you.
That's me. An eventual guest.
Hello, eventual guest.
If you already covered this question, bit of backstory. A few months ago, pre-pandemic, you, Pablo, talked about speaking with professionals and studios about Blender, understanding their needs and so on. We always do that, right? No, that's
as much as possible, yes. But I may have mentioned in the sense that we would go to SIGGRAPH and to CTN and ANSI and all the things that the pandemic prevented.
Then the question is, Did you ever get this feedback? Is it something in the back burner for a future implementation? Please elaborate on that. I love what Blender has become, and it worked for the community, the industry, even though some of us don't communicate that as elegantly.
Ah,
So fine.
thank you, Ede.
So Pablo, how is this part of, you already started, right? How's it going? How do you get feedback from studios in a pandemic world?
Well, we didn't get as much as we wanted. Part of that was also Animation 2020 initiative that will get us closer to talk to people, and there was many things in the middle. You know, the things at the studio were not as usual. Tom wasn't around as much at the beginning of the year, so we were working from home. Just so many things, and the LTS release also there are many things that were like they kind of put a stick on the wheel of our bikes, life bikes, that make things harder. But you said you were talking with Tangent and with other studios.
Yes, when they have time.
I think
it's because the studios are busy as well. They're like in full mode production, regardless of the pandemic. I've seen like the studios are still hiring people. Of course, relocation is always a bit harder, but I think there's even more content more demand for like streaming digital content. So what I've seen, like those studios are like, it's a great example. They often are like super happy. They almost never bring up some critical issues. When they do, we have a nice contact, nice conversation, but people are just busy doing their work as well. So.
Yeah, yes, it is. They are, but I think in the future this should be better. I hope next year everything will come back to normal. But on the other hand, it gave us a lot more also space to to see, to step back and see Blender from a distance, to make sure that it's growing in a direction that everybody's happy.
And also to actually acknowledge the role of the Blender Animation Studio a bit more, the studio here in the building, like upstairs. And this is part of the discussions we're having, like during those weeks, which is how can the studio play a very solid role as a stakeholder? How does the other studios, the other Blender users have a say on this? And we're like working, for instance, this week we are doing the release communication preparation week, meaning work on the release video,
2.90
sample files for 2.90. And a lot of those files are being made by the people here in the studio. And while doing the files, they also have a lot of feedback. So, as Pablo said, like maybe we couldn't look out of the Netherlands for too much because of pandemic, but we definitely are taking the time to look inside a little bit and see how to make sure the future is bright, as always.
Yes. Thank you for the answer. Now I got a question for you, which as a developer you may have a better answer than I would.
I have a perfect answer for that.
Hi Pablo. Hi Dalai. Gary Rash is asking, can you tell me the difference between make full and make release? These are three commands that you perform when you're compiling Blender. So what is that? What is make release, make full?
We have this in the documentation online. And that's I'm trying to find it.
That's the answer. Read the manual.
Well, it's not. It's so basically I was asking around because I wasn't sure like what's the difference, and I was asking. So in my head I was asking like Bastian, and he didn't remember. And then Bracht was over here. He's like, it's online. So that's this is the answer I got.
but where?
So I'm sharing. Now I can't find. Let's see, Ubuntu.
I actually saw yesterday. I saw here. Let's see. So build options, build targets, make build all features except CUDA and optics. That's pretty self-explanatory. This is the one I actually use usually. Make release. This one I saw Yuli and Isel using it yesterday. Complete build with all options enabled, including CUDA and optics. Make headless. Without interface. Make VPI. And where's the make full?
Is the make release?
Ah. Well, I just happened to compile Blender recently, so what if I do make help? There you go.
That's super nice.
That is super nice.
For me, the big difference, if you were to ask me, is that the make, not the make release, is what's used when you do make test as well. So if you run make test, it's going to try to go over the unit tests we have in Blender, and it's going to use this version of Blender you built with make for that. So I have a make release, I have a make debug, but also have just a regular make. I have a lot of Blenders in my computer.
Yes, the same with so when I make little changes in Blender, I just do make, but then for a real one, I do make release, so I get all the goodies from CUDA and Optics. Then make light apparently, and there is make install, I guess, if you want to install all the Python changes as well. So that's the recommendation. Run make help.
Yes.
I'm gonna since I'm here, you can start reading the next question.
Hello, Pablo. FS asks, how are you, brother?
I'm great, bro.
I waited for so long. Please read my comment today.
Of course.
Is there any feature coming with Blender like body motion capture and facial capture from Kinect or webcam? It's a really helpful feature. Did you see the recent test? I think I tweeted that. Someone using Eevee and some mocap, blah blah blah.
Let's see. Did you tweet it recently?
No. That's go down a little bit.
I'm going through your Twitter. Here,
anyway.
Quick proof of concept tracksuit animated in real time rendering Eevee.
And I mean, Eevee is perfect for that. So the question is, again, Pablo, is there any upcoming feature in the core of Blender to support body motion capture and facial capture from Kinect or webcam? I don't think it's a core feature, right? I think it's still try to work together those independent projects.
With independent project, I think working with independent project it's better in that way. I don't think it's a Blender body motion capture is something that it should be built in. It's a bit out of the scope. At least there are options outside. There is the core data team. This is an open source, even it's open hardware motion capture system that is built around Blender, and they recently reached the goal of their Kickstarter, so it is actually going to happen, which is pretty nice. They even gave a presentation. Every few episodes I mention these people, because you see they are working, and they even work around Godot, also the game engine, and then Blender as well. So they are someone to have a look for, because they love Blender. They've been at the conference. Next question, Darso asks, hi Pablo, I have a question about Blender on Steam for you, Dalai. When Blender, this is a good question. When Blender 2.9 X 91, 2 or 3 comes out of beta, it will launch on Steam as well, or the Steam version will always be LTS?
As far as we last talked about this, I think it's gonna launch there. Yeah. What I don't know is how good is Steam to keep 2 trees of releases side by side.
I don't know. Can a software have 2 versions, or maybe we just need to, because Blender Foundation is like the not the client, but it's the company, right? So the company could have 2 products, and one of them be the LTS. So if we go to Steam, for example, here, Blender, published by Blender Foundation, it could be, right, that you search for Blender, and now instead of having one software, where is Blender Foundation? Here, Blender Foundation has 1. So maybe we could have Blender and Blender LTS.
Yeah, we'll find out this very soon.
Yes, we don't know yet, but we'll find out very, very soon. Would it be better to have as a separate software? I'm asking the user, or as the same, and then you just change from the settings.
I'm thinking about updates, right? one of the nice things about Steam is that people get the auto update.
Yes.
So
Well, but you could have auto update on both of them. So maybe it's good to have both. You can have the beta update Steam. Yeah, you have to right click and go and accept opt-in into the beta release. But 2.90 is not beta, it's gonna be stable. But there will also be another stable release. So it will be 2 stable releases. How do we deal with that? I think it should just be its own app. Just 2 apps. It's
how we're going to do for... I know that Snap supports this, Snapcraft, the Windows, the Linux Ubuntu App Store, and so we call these different tracks, so you can have update different tracks separately. Well, what I don't know is how much of this we can actually do for the Windows Store and basically the Steam Store as well.
Yes, until we get our own store, the Blender Store. Now we already have a Blender Store, a Blender Hub.
Blender Hub. Pablo, I have a question for you.
Oh, okay, real. I might have an answer.
How are you doing in the rest of the team?
I'm doing great. You said you're doing great. I don't know if that has changed from when I asked you.
You're doing great.
Still as good?
Great.
What about the rest of the team?
Yeah, I think everyone's fine. Yeah, everyone's fine. It's a holiday season, so we start seeing people going on holidays, and that makes everyone super fine.
Yes, there actually in a few weeks from now, actually I see that in the calendar we have that there are many people leaving and going, and then I don't know why I started reading that comment somewhere online that the second wave is hitting the Netherlands, and it's gonna, like, there will be a peak when people come back from holidays, which is very exciting to hear.
Well, before it comes.
So we should just go on holidays and before. And
all right, question for you.
Yeah, sorry, that sidetrack.
It's been a while already since your last recap video. Burn?
No, not burn. I
miss those videos. You continue shedding light on the new features of Blender.
Yeah,
Please
man.
Say yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I will continue. I just need to fit it in the schedule somehow. I have to, like, I don't know. I'm recording all these videos at home. I'm making the live streams at home. And the studio there, I don't feel it's like the best place for the live streams. And right now they're recording videos, which is great for sound because it's all full of stuff. But it's just not the nicest place for a live stream. I will have to be sharing this microphone unless I take it from here to the studio. I don't know. I should just maybe take the mornings and record the videos at home and then come back. However, I do have I have a list of the videos that I want to make, and I'm going through the commits and I'm making the list. I have videos about the performance, sculpting, VR, cycles. So there is content coming, just not in.
As I said, it's part of this whole pandemic rearrangement. We're still not over that. We're still making it through. What's gonna come?
Yeah, at some point, I would still like to make these videos at the studio, I guess. I mean, it would be nice. But we need to purpose that place. You don't remember how was it? It was white and boring. Do you remember?
It was more fun, no, to interact. So
yeah, but we're not gonna be able to be that close, or are we?
Or we can do we talked about it. We could do the classic acrylic bar. So there's an acrylic bar, and people don't get to see it because it's like parallel to the camera.
You think? Oh my gosh. This is one of the last few videos when we talked about it, actually. So, what do you see yourself? You're like here with the plastic thing in the...
Oh, indeed, yes.
Look at these boys. Pre-pandemia, having life. No, I don't see myself with the thing here.
Shall we try to power through the questions
now?
Yes,
let's go. Sorry. Side. Because you have to go to the weekly meeting. Yeah, and I have to nap. Next question, Kathy Kaysen. ask. But anyway, the answer to the previous is that I will continue making those videos. I have a list of videos. I just need to rearrange things. This week was preparation week for 2.90, so also another side tracking, but I will go back to it. Next question. Kathy Kayson. Hi Pablo, will there be any chance to add virtual acoustic systems or the feature to reflect sounds to objects inside of Blender? Ooh. I understand that Blender is not designed for audio editing, but I like the plugin for software like Unity called DRVR. Performs pretty good sound reflections on objects such as walls, so I think Blender will get even better if you could add some audio support like this. System to install this kind of add-ons.
We do have a system to, so the Blender
speaker object.
Yeah, you can play the Tetris music with the Blender audio plugin.
What?
Don't remember. We do have a whole Python interface for the. I think my face is frozen, Pablo.
Ah, yes. What, you're not frozen?
No. So we do have like a whole interface for the audio, so it's nothing. People could totally do this via plugin already. Which part of the question, right? Yes,
if there would be an add-on or development, a feature to add virtual acoustic system. I didn't know. So what did they use to search?
So much make a change to ask for things. Sorry?
What do you think is what can they search for?
No, I'm just saying that today the Blender audio interface is the Python part is good enough that the person wants to be able to have a system like an add-on that could be integrated.
So
stopping that because it's very specific use case. Maybe that's the answer.
The answer, I think, is Blender has a sound system, right? It has you can add a speaker. The Python API is very powerful in that sense. You can export in 7.1 even if you want. So the system is there, but it just needs the tools. And in this case, it's not the Unity guys that implemented it, right? It's the DRVR, which is an independent company. So instead of asking here, we could ask you could ask these people to make an add-on for Blender, because it's totally possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So they could show here audio middleware.
When someone was asking about mocap, I was googling into one of the videos one of the systems I like, and then came into another one which doesn't support Blender, supports Maya, supports Unity, Unreal, Max, and I mean it's nothing preventing them to support Blender as well. And the same case here.
And the same case, that's where you, community, come in here, zoom in. You should ask and like flood the companies that you care about to support Blender, right?
Yes, do.
Yes, please do. Show them that there's a lot of people asking for that kind of support. That's how most of the support in Blender it's done, by showing that there is a system. There is a system. There is a community behind it. Sorry. Next. Yeah. Power.
Next is Asatanero. Hi, thanks Blender team for all your work. You are the bright light in 2020. Thanks. The bright light in 2020 are probably, everyone, the nurses, the doctors, and everyone else. But thank you.
But
still.
You're saying that doing a live stream on YouTube is not as. No, dear. Kidding.
Will we get any new features or changes to camera tracking be affected as part of the Blender, Pablo? Yes, of course. We have already for 0.90 even. Yes,
the Nuke camera model, right?
Nuke Natron, yeah. So if you're working for something like GoPro, you can use Blender for the tracking, and you can bring this distorted model to Nuke or Natron, and then back to Blender and back and forth.
Yes, but
maybe better auto mode.
Like auto detect features. Yeah, that's one of the features that Sergey, the developer that made the motion tracker, wants to add. But yeah, there's always other stuff. That developer that worked on that area was working on the depth graph. among other things. And now it's working on the video sequence editor.
Yes. Everyone's happy that this tracker exists, and I hope that to see more changes to make it better. And the worst part for me, that last movie using trackers was Tears of Steel 8 years ago. I hope to see more of these in the cloud. Also, Blender logo as a sticker for Instagram.
Yes, this is what I will do. The Tears of Steel, yeah, that was the last film, but yeah, there was no other films, that Blender films done with it. I think it's now time for the community to make them. In that case, Tears of Steel was a great experiment, but it's very expensive to have a crew, and yeah, it was very, very expensive. However, if you search for the making of, it's one of the best. Blender, throw it in the canal. It's one of the best documentaries ever made, and you can just find it here. You can see a young Ian Newbert, aka 1 minute tutorials, doing crazy stuff and just making Blender. So you should check it out. Super awesome. It's one of the most fun making ofs we have. I
haven't watched it, the making of.
You haven't seen this?
I don't think I've seen this.
Oh no, we should definitely. I want to watch it again. We should watch it at some point. It's super fun. Besides seeing people we know young, it's wow, even yeah, it's also fun to actually like the editing. It's Ian. Come on, it's like super fun, it's fast and.
It's Campbell, yeah, Campbell, Brecht, Ian, Andy, Francisco with Mohawk.
It's awesome. Anyway, it's a must watch. It's on YouTube and on the Blender Cloud. Next question. Roman asks, hi Pablo, in Blender, the pattern works differently than in other 3D programs. Or in other 3D programs, it will work different than in Blender.
Other 3D programs.
Description of the problem of the existing method. One link and a Vimeo. If they're too long, maybe I can't. 13 minutes, I'm not gonna be able to see the whole video. Hello, in a Blender, parent to objects do not work as we like. In other programs, after executing the parent command, the child object remains in place and inherits the local coordinates of the parent object. I would like to have the same parent algorithm as in other programs. The child object remains in place. Ah, yeah, in Blender it moves. But you can do the inverse, right? Inverse parent. Okay.
I think that's what's happening. That's the Python snippet.
From the mater. This can be done with a few lines of Python. Just slap it in a text editor and try it. Is it possible for this to become part of Blender?
So as a new option to when you parent,
like Control P and then as an option to parent and do this thing. Yeah, so it could be an operator, right?
Should that be a default option? Probably not.
Yeah, that's the thing. If it's default or not, it's a big change. Like if you change how parenting works, it's either now in 2.9, which is maybe not the time because we are almost the or 3.0. But yeah, actually. If you are learning Blender, Python developer, and want to make this into a proper, operator, submit a patch, and I bet it would be, especially the mater, he works at the Blender Studio, so if someone with his experience also backs it up, and I think this could become an operator that could show up when you parent objects with Control P. You could show here, and maybe eventually it could be the default. So nice for new developers. Your turn.
My turn. Pablo Blendizo asks, what are propagation steps exactly, and how do you use it in sculpt mode? Yeah, how do you use the propagation steps in sculpt mode? Under brush settings for layer brush. Like to get more clear information on the brush settings.
All right.
Manual maybe first?
Unexpected tutorials. Sorry.
I wonder if it's in the Blender manual.
You search the manual and I explain how to do it here. Okay, so let's see. Let's say a box here. Let's remesh the box.
Then open Blender and then F1 option.
So let's say I have a hole here. So for example, if we use the layer brush, so what you want to know is how the propagation tool works in the layer brush advanced. This is the option, the propagation steps. So the propagation steps, if we read the documentation or the...
Oh no, it doesn't show on the documentation.
Okay, so now you have to kick a developer, and I will read the tooltip. So the tooltip is distance where boundary edge auto masking is going to protect vertices from the fully masked edge. So it's a distance value. So it should be in a distance unit though. However, okay, so this is how it works. Mesh boundary is an option that allows you to, when you're sculpting, for example, if I don't have mesh boundary, I will sculpt even the edge of the of the whole mesh, you know, even the edge gets pulled up. If I instead use the mesh boundary setting in the layer brush, the layer will be applied to the surroundings and the edge is going to stay just as it is. Okay, now the propagation steps is basically the resolution of this subdivision here at the edges. So if I put this high up to, I don't know, 11, so let's go back, and then I start sculpting, you see it's like the distance, but also the more geometry you have is going to be more smooth. So for example, if I remesh something, oh, beautiful. Never mind, I shouldn't have okay, remeshing, it's killing. I'm using the alpha version. However, okay, answer is this is the distance, and the more steps you have, if you have more geometry, it's going to be very smooth. So
I just posted on the top chat the documentation page. Actually, it has there.
It has it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Maybe I should reply to the Blender.
Yes, please. Anyway, next question. While you answer that, you have to leave soon. So let's do 3 more questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next, hi Pablo. What is with the paper cut thread on DevTalk site closed? I wanted to ask, where should I go to ask for this UX paper cut to be fixed? The paper cut thread was closed because the new there is a actual dedicated place for it in the user feedback. So if you go to here, you go to other topics, and then you go to what is it? User feedback, usability here.
It's because you're logged in. If you don't log in, it shows. If you go in anonymous mode.
Ah, you see it. Yeah, I'm logged in, so I have a different homepage. So just go to search for usability. This is the usability is the old paper cut, but because each paper cut is a thread, it's much easier to follow. Before it was just the one thread and it was impossible. That's why we closed it. So where would you report this? If you could report it in the thread there, make a thread, that would be awesome. What?
No, I'm just reading the specific thing.
In the GIF, you can change multiple settings for the snapping operation when you use Control-Shift-Tab. I can't see.
My thing's making sounds.
I thought it was me. By the way, I heard that GIMP is your favorite photo manipulation program. Yes, it is. I use it every day. GIMP for the win. Are you excited for release 3.0? Yes.
Oh,
yeah, apparently it's coming very soon. I wish there was a Blender. Maybe there is. Is there a Blender.Today? A GIMP Today equivalent? Next question.
Well, I'm using 2.10.
2.10.
But maybe it's like Blender. They won't go from 2.10 all the way to.
Which one am I using? Oh, I'm also using 2.10. Yeah. 2.10 to 18. So. Oh, they have a check for updates. I was gonna make the joke is like, oh, I wish why they don't have an updater. And
2.10.20,
which was released 7.6.7. Is it American or is it?
No idea.
I don't know. It's either July or June that was released. So super nice.
No, it's not the date.
I know it was a few days last month.
The date, yeah.
No, wait. Check for update. Last checked on August. So they use the US. Come on, don't use the US. Use my local one, the one I have on my computer.
Send a patch.
Send out. It's open source. Use a patch. Yes. Okay. No, come on. You should use the local. Next question.
Pablo.
Yeah.
One question. Many people criticize Mantaflow. Who said that? It is slow. Doesn't give full control. Are there any plans on developing it further? Haven't found in roadmap or on the Mantaflow website. I've never been to the Mantaflow website. I don't know if they have a roadmap.
You never been there?
Oh. And I'm not just dodging the question. I'm just.
Yeah, it's I don't know how up to date is this though, because it says version 3, but it doesn't say when.
When was it released?
When, like the date, yes. So is it gonna be developed? Yes. Speed compared to what? I think the defaults of the first release to ever have Mantaflow were not exactly great. So by default, it will give a slow results.
Their pages. So if you click on the release notes, the version it shows there, the 0.11 is from July 2017.
11.
Go down a little bit and click on the link. No, not so down.
Full release notes here. Yeah, but this is old, 2011, and there is actually 2 new ones, 12 and 13. And they haven't updated the release note text file.
Yeah, but so if you go to the
you see, we're not the worst at making release notes.
The download page is also from 2017.
Yeah.
Downloaded the bulk version.
They need help with the the 13 also is old, from 2017.
So contribute to their project.
Yes, help them out. Help them out. If Blender wouldn't have people volunteering for making the websites and the videos and everything, we would also be like in the middle of nowhere, because if you don't look at the code, you don't know that Blender is updating if it wasn't for these kind of initiatives. And the last question for you. Hola Pablo and guess, how are you doing? Is it a good idea to put a tab in the Blender website called add-ons? So the Blender Foundation could promote some free and paid known add-ons, even those that wouldn't be able to be implemented in Blender natively because of the size. And when you click on the tab, it leads to a page listing of some community well-known add-ons such as the Animation Notes, Fairshock, Sorcar, Hardops, Fluent, Botanic. So new people on Blender could be aware of those and quick as possible, and maybe encourage the use of community add-ons. Well, it's good that you mentioned that, because we are not gonna be adding a add-ons link up there. I think it's not I don't know, I don't think we should be adding one there, or maybe we should, I don't know. But the Blender community, the place where you are asking your questions right now, is going to have an add-ons community where you where people, developers, will be able to upload and share your add-ons. Because right now you can share in graphical, you can share whatever you want, pretty much. You can share builds, or also add-ons. For example, Animation Notes is an add-on. You can share it, you can see, but we are gonna make a dedicated place just for the add-ons, and maybe some other new features. But yes, that will be the place. Remember, the Blender community is independent though, so I don't know if it should be in the Blender website. All right, I think we reached the end, just in time. We answer pretty much all the questions that we wanted. 3 we got left. So, when do you go on vacation, Pablo and Felinto? Well, the live was just, I'm reading the chat now, by the way.
Yes, when? Hopefully so.
Yeah, come on, you should come back from holidays.
I think I still have a week, give or take. But no plans for me. Maybe a few Fridays here and there, or when Brazil's back and open and I could be able to come back, maybe take a week.
You're lucky. You can fly from Amsterdam to Rio directly.
Yeah, but then I can't come back.
Hey, but at least it's just the one plane that you have to come back. I have to go to Patagonia. I have to take 3 planes.
maybe a good answer for this is Amsterdam is amazing during summertime. If you have to choose, come visit in August. It's a pretty good time, March. So at least I plan to spend most of my August here as much as I can.
Yes, Amsterdam is amazing. So I'm almost considering to take some holidays here in Amsterdam, even just to, I don't know, hang out in the city. But I prefer to take holidays during the end of the year, which is summer in my homeland, Argentina. So I just have a bit of a summer, double summer every year, 2 summers. However,
it's draw fee, you know?
Draw fee, I don't know what is draw fee. What do you mean? There was a Blender sighting in draw fee. Is that safe for work? Can we show that? Draw fee show.
It is.
It's a YouTube channel with 1.5 million subscribers. Wow. No, I didn't know this actually.
Because people, if maybe the last art video was artists draw themselves in their favorite anime.
Oh my gosh, and they used Blender?
I don't know.
No, they used the Adobe one, and here they used the
Oscar video.
Which one? Oh wait, there was here. I found it. I found Blender.
2014.
Oh, here, people using Blender. So cool. Do they link it from the? No.
Someone says, "Julia, is this Blender?"
Yeah. Trophy show. Would you mind putting a link? That would really be nice. Amazing. Yeah, you should maybe in the comments. Maybe in the comments people are asking. 4,400 comments. Let's see how long until we read Blender. I'm a bit too optimistic here.
I found it soon enough, and they show the
Blender here. Awesome. Thumbs up by Blender to the guy mentioning Blender. All right. That is all for this week. Thank you, Dalai, for joining. It's so nice to have you back.
Thank you so much, Pablo. It's always fun. Thanks, everyone.
Actually, somebody mentioned that Blender was at the top too. That is. Oh, actually, yes. It's one of the top comments. Nice. Awesome. All right. Next week, what are the updates for next week? Do we know? We're gonna have a bit more of the 2.90 release notes. We're gonna be in Beacon again. We're still in Beacon 3. That means bug fixing. However, the bug fix sprint that was this week is over, so people are gonna go back to 2.91 and fixing 2.90. Right?
Probably more design documents being rolled out and approved.
For 2.91, which is still open for new features until September.
I need to check.
Developer.blender.org. On the sidebar, you're gonna find 2.91 and all the things that we can remember right now. So, okay, thank you, Dalai. Enjoy. See you in a bit, actually. And to everybody at home, I will see you next week, same place, same time. Hopefully earlier, in the shape of short little videos with Blender features, because they doesn't stop. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. You can't hear it, but I can. All right. Gracias, obrigado, Dalai. Grazie tante. Merci. Arigato. Ciao.